Well, he's just coming out on track.
One. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for Tier 2 action for Inters. Scotty here with you, doing a double shift. Did Tier 3, back for Tier 2. And alongside me is Powers. How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, really good. As you can see on track, we have got intermediate conditions for qualifying, and for the race, we may have a chance of rain at the beginning, and then it's supposed to become just cloudy for the rest of the race. So, interesting to see what the start is, but we'll get through that. The 18 minutes of qualifying we got first up. As you can see, all drivers are pretty much nearly out on track or on the green wall intermediate tyre. So should be a good one. Powers, I know you had a bit of a mare this afternoon, only going 2 laps, so you know how tricky it is just in the dry driving this track, let alone the wet. So, yeah, how are you feeling these guys are going to go, especially in these tricky conditions in qualifying?
Well, there's a few top drivers out there. You've got Burke, Gillard, Mercy, Gordo, you've got Buster as well out there, and 2K Goat. They're keen to see how they go under the conditions of these intermediates at a difficult track like Japan. But in all hindsight, I feel like they should all be pretty well around here. Hopefully they can all make it into the race in one piece.
Exactly right. Just looking at Medi, completely bypass turn 1 and go super wide. I know guys that do run line, the line is a bit buggy through there, that it's a long way back that it tells you to apply the brakes, so definitely can be confusing. And in these interconditions, trying to push the limits just a little bit. Luckily there's runoff at turn 1, but if you don't like touching the curbs in the dry, you definitely do not want to touch these curbs in the wet.
Oh, 100% not.
And
I saw myself touch one of those curves which killed me in tier 3, and it was not a good time in the dry touching those curves. So you can imagine what it's going to be like if you touch those curves in the race, in the wet.
exactly, and as we can see, PRL Aussie in the Alpha, he has got no front wing and he's bypassing every single corner. I think he's just more so staying off the track to help the cars behind get past, as Extinct Body goes quickest on a 140.4. So not a bad lap to start. Gillard,
Yeah,
half a second quicker. So I think these guys, the track will just get quicker and quicker as these guys get comfortable with the conditions. Gordo up to a 40.2 as well.
100%, yeah. There's got a fair few cars out on track at the moment on their flying laps. I'm on board with, don't want to be a biased person, but I'm on board with Seb, the Red Bull. He's just done purple through sector 2 as he's coming down to C360R into the final chicane.
Exactly. He's got the Aston Martin just in front of him. Shouldn't have affected him too much off the exit. Might even get a little bit of a toe towards the line. He does cross that line, 141.5. Does get out of the way. Aussie was on a lap, so it wasn't a block. As Buster, currently P2 in the Tier 2 Championship, in 6th place on a 42.3 as his first lap. Broseph goes into 10 and T8 into P7. So half the grid haven't set a lap time, 5 minutes in. Just waiting for these guys to... Obviously, maybe they might have put a bit more fuel in, do a couple of runs, You obviously use a little bit less ERS, so you may be able to do a cool-off lap and then go again. They may have to save maybe a set of inters for the start of the race, but after that they won't need it for too much more. MX currently around the hairpin. Might have even validated his first lap. Obviously that can be an issue in qualifying in these damp conditions, just going a little bit wide, just invalidate, and that's what
Well, I
happens.
am on board with Aussie 2K Go, our championship leader, as he's now coming down into to complete sector 2. He's gone purple through sector 2 as he comes through to the final chicane now. He's down into second as he comes out of the second last corner, coming around the final right-hander to the line. And it's going to be fast. It's 1:39.8. The first driver to plot into the 1:39s there. Was a very good lap from Aussie 2K Goat there.
Yeah, and that was on his second lap as well. But good pace shown from the championship leader. Currently a 31-point lead over Buster, and did win our last race in Australia. Seems like forever ago, but it was about 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, continues his good form, and Buster currently in P6, 40.3, so Aussie 2K Goat doing exactly what he needed to do. MX is the second person in the 39s, just about 300s behind, so very close between the top two, and Gillard and Mercy, they're not too far behind. So as these guys get used to the conditions, we'll see these times go quicker and quicker.
Well, we did see Wayne Morris in the Williams car take the win out in Tier 4 last night. So that has really boosted Williams in that aspect, and they've got a 1 and 3 here in qualifying here in Tier 2. Williams are looking at some big pointers for the end all round.
Yeah, exactly right. And on board, following Verk now, obviously he won a couple of hours ago in Tier 3, and probably a little bit lucky that he actually won it, but yeah, managed to get the top step on the podium and that sort of thing. Oh, Mercy has initiated it, and that's Quiet Cake.
And Quiet Cake as well.
Yeah, we saw Mercy go super wide.
Who
So
did he get on board with there to see that?
The Ferrari, I think that's MX coming through.
Yeah, there's one on either side, and Quiet Cake's tyre is just sitting out on the track there.
Yeah, we did see, I think we saw the three cars before. We saw Mercy go wide off, so whether he's spun coming back on, and unfortunately it looks like he may have collected Quiet Cake. Not 100% sure on that. We might get a bit of info.
Guido is on as well.
And where's he?
Yeah, Guido's out as well. We'll get on with his Mercedes teammate as he's coming up to where Guido has taken a spin here as we come up.
Yeah, the uphill turn 7.
S's.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's hit either the inside curb or he's gone a little bit wide at the outside curb, bit too much power, and then just
yellow flag. Is that someone else out, or is that just someone?
I think just people slowing to get out of the way. But yeah, we've unfortunately lost 3 drivers already. Mercy and Quiet. That incident might have to be investigated by the stewards, depending on if there was a particular driver at fault. And then obviously Gredo, unfortunately, thankfully he set a decent lap time, 40 flat, but he takes no part as many.
In Aston Martin as he goes 39.7 here.
Yeah, brilliant lap from the Aston Martin driver. As obviously we know McLaren and Aston are battling for the overall championship. So with Mercy currently 6th and not taking any further part, Ver currently 18th. Good spot for Medi to be at the start.
Discord, and Mercy has already made the report on Quiet Cake in that.
So that was Quiet Cake instead. So yeah, that was very unfortunate from those two. Brian goes into the top 4, 39.9.
Just watching it, it looks like Mercy's pulled off to the side, Quiet Cake's pulled off, let Verk through as well, and then as Mercy starts going, Quiet Cake just too much moves over directly in front of Mercy, and it's pretty much Mercy had lost his tyre from there and put Quiet Cake on the wall.
So I think that's a bit of miscommunication, and then obviously just letting other cars through and then thinking it was clear. unfortunately, yeah, hasn't been cleared and there's been contact as Kai is currently nearly half a second up. This will put him near the top. As we follow him through 16 and 17 and then the final corner of 18. Comes across the line.
There you go. He only
40.1.
goes P9 there.
Yeah, I think it lost about a tenth, whether that was through 130R or just the exit of the chicane, but currently P9. He knows he got a bit of time in that last sector.
I'm on board with, you did ask me to do this, I'm going to say it. We're on board with Sexy 7 as he comes to Sector 2.
Sexy 7, he comes around 130R. He comes
Coming
to
in
the
the final
chicane now.
now.
Had a good result last week, finishing P6 in the Red Bull.
Last week was about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Last round at Australia. It's been too long. Seb goes
P12.
P12. 40.3.
Improved by 1.1 seconds there. It's a big improvement there.
And as you can see in the mid-pack, not a lot. Like Seb's only 7/10 off pole at the moment. 7/8 off, but he's 12th. It's very, very tight in that top midfield battle.
Very tight.
Burke does go into top 6 on a 40 flat. So race winner from this afternoon. He definitely looked quick in the dry. Still got some good pace in these interconditions, which is good to see.
Just checking out the interval to the leader, we have our from 1st to 13th are all within a second off pole, with 13th being 7/10 off pole. We saw Seb just completed a lap. He's only 5/10 off that pole position.
Exactly right. As we're seeing on your screen, the tyre graphics, a few of these guys going 4 laps on these set of intermediate tyres, so they're happy to just run around.
Yeah, we got Marty on 5-lap old intermediates at the moment.
Yeah, these guys obviously happy that the tyre grip's still in there. We might see a few of these guys come in, make a late tyre change, put minimum fuel in, and then go for a final quick run. Extinct Body's just about to start his run. PRL Aussie invalidated, so he might have validated quite early, so he's turned off his ERS. He'll go again. So all these guys just about starting their laps, or just about to come in and get another set on. Currently,
We have Aussie 2K Go about to come up towards the end of Sector 2 if on his outlap if we want to jump on board with him for a full flying lap around Japan here in the west.
Yeah, I think Aussie's 2K will be the perfect driver to follow that. Obviously, he put in a very quick lap for his flyer, so he's definitely the one to watch. Do you want to take us through this 5.8 kilometre circuit?
Indeed, as he's coming around to the final chicane now, I do not have any turn numbers up, but we'll see what we can do here. As he's now coming across the line to start his flying lap here, up in the 8th gear.
Yeah, while we're on board, sorry Buster, unfortunately he's retired, so Buster's out. It will start at least 10, maybe lower. So we'll keep going.
He's just there to our right as we watch Aussie 2K go drive past as well,
yeah, so we'll keep going with Aussie's flying lap.
We're going up through the S's. It hasn't been the quickest section through here for Aussie 2K. I feel like he may be doing another, I think he's on another outlap here because he hasn't used any ERS here, so I feel like he may be on another outlap potentially here.
Yeah, it's 7/10 down, so yeah, obviously made a mistake. So Aussie 2K GOAT, obviously plenty of ERS, still got just over 3 minutes, so he'll have plenty of time. MX.
There is a car behind him. Is that his teammate just behind him there?
It
is.
is.
His teammate just
but just on board, just following MX through the final corner. He comes across the line. Does he improve? He does by 4/10.
He does. Provisional pole here for MX.
Brilliant lap time, 39.4. So who else is about to start or come across the line? Gillard. He's got a bit of ERS. Doesn't look like he's burned as much, so he's
130
3/10 down.
He's coming into the final chicane. I feel like we should see him start a flying lap here now as he comes out of the final chicane. Yeah, as we do watch him now come to the line. Starting his flying lap here, or is he? Because I think he may have forgot to turn his ERS back on.
Yeah, he's starting now.
It's still a full tank of ERS. Gordo goes 1-2 for Gordo goes P2 for 1-2 front row lockout for Ferrari as we speak.
Yeah, beautiful lap from
Aussie
Gordo.
2K Goat has 100% forgot to turn his ERS back on at the start of his lap here.
Or he's made yet another mistake down at turn 1. So he must be he's not happy with the first couple of corners. So he's got
Gillard's
time.
in the same position here. Gillard is just doing the exact thing that 2K Goat is doing, and they're just following each other around the track and just not setting any lap times here at this point in time.
Yeah, Gillard's actually equal to his best first sector time. So Gillard we know is pushing. Aussie 2K might not be, but Gillard definitely is as we watch him come out of the hairpin. Buster in the chat, Medi put me off, massive distraction. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's very tough in these conditions, and especially with the driver, especially because these guys are going for multiple flying laps at a time because they can in the wet. So
now coming down, we'll see his sector 2 split here. Comes through, he is 2 tenths up on his lap time here. He's gone purple through sector 2 as he comes to 130R.
that could put him on the
Into the
front
final
row.
chicane here. Could this be a provisional pole lap or a provisional front row for Gillard here as he comes around the last right hander? Coming to the line, he's going to go P4, just jumps in front of his teammate there. As we will jump on board with Aussie 2K Goat now, as he does start a lap time here, and he is on a lap now as he comes up through the S's. The most trickiest part of the circuit. Gets through them quite cleanly.
Burke goes up to
Aston gets through
P4,
them nicely.
39.8. So McLaren, good job from him.
Our tier 3 winner. We have a yellow flag. It looks like it's just an AlphaTauri. Just slowing down a bit there for the Ferrari. As we have 2K Goat coming through the hairpin now. Coyote's into the pits with the checkered flag out, and that will be the end of his session.
So that's
MX
it.
goes
MX
faster with a
6/10.
138.9.
I wasn't sure if he was 4/10 up coming around the final corner, but he definitely is.
We've got 2K Goat now coming through to the end of Sector 2 as close catches Sector 2 split. He's up by 2 tenths here, which will see him go to about P3
yeah.
or 4 as he comes through the final chicane here. See him to the line. And he will go P2. He's on the front row.
Found a lot of time in that last
Gordo,
sector.
though, coming to the final chicane here, 4 tenths up on his lap time. This looks like it could be a provisional front row lockout for Ferrari. As he comes to the line, it's going to be a front row lockout as it stands here for Ferrari.
Oh, Burke's invalidated from 5th, so he won't improve.
Brian's in. Brian's on a lap time here.
But he's got an Aston in front of him.
130R. And that Aston looks like he's also on a lap time. It is Aussie now looks on a lap time here. That could have very much cost Brian there.
I think it has.
Comes across the line, it does indeed, and the only person now that can know. That's it. As PRL Aussie is not on a flying lap here, it's going to be a front row lockout for the Ferrari boys.
So yeah, that's a pretty red looking front row. MX and Gordo. MX's lap into the 38, 4/10 clear from anybody else. Gordo, brilliant lap P2, championship leader of 2K.
With that quality result from those Ferrari boys.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant job. So we'll wait and see how they get off the line. But yeah, as you can see, results on screen. MX pole by 3 nearly 4/10 of a second. Gordo, Aussie 2K, Medi will line up on the second row of the grid. Burke Gillard, Brian Bromley, Greedo, Mercy, and Kyo. Second place. Get it in Tier 3 this afternoon. Will round out the top 10. Buster, second in the championship. Not what he needed starting right in the midfield. We know how tough turn 1 is around here and how tight it can get. Extinct Body 12th. Seb 13th. Aussie Power Aussie 14th. Marty 15th. Broseph 16th. Quiet Cake 17th. T8 and 18th, and Aussie M8 will round out our 19-car grid for 27 laps around Suzuka. So, fascinating qualifying, and we will see there is a chance of rain at the beginning of this race. We don't have it, so it's going to be a cloudy or dry race, I'd imagine. So, strategy for...
Make for an interesting one. The
Yes.
question here is, did anybody prepare for a wet race? Or will they all do the smart thing and whack on a dry setup for that intermediate condition qualifying?
I'd imagine if they saw the weather for the race and realised that there was only rain for maybe the first 10 minutes, or if there was no rain at all, surely you'd have to go a dry setup. But in saying that, we did see in Tier 3 that we did have a few guys running 25, at least 25 wings or higher. So it's going to be that mixture again of how much downforce do you take off the car to help defend and overtake, whereas you want downforce in qualifying to help get you that best position on the grid. Because we did see Izzy Bro couldn't overtake Kyo. He was very quick in the first sector, but absolutely boated around the second and third sector. So it's your strategy and your setup that will be keys to trying to win this race. And Ferrari, currently 1 and 2, they've got the perfect view of turn 1. Let's hope that they can get through turn 1 cleanly and maybe not take each other out.
100%. It's going to be a very interesting race here from wet to dry conditions. Ferrari front row lockouts and exactly right, and see if they can hold this 1-2 to start the race. Mash will be absolutely over the moon with their boys qualifying results. Really hoping that they can carry that momentum and that pace into the race.
100%, considering that probably good, better night for Mash, considering that I just saw him crash about half an hour ago on the first lap of the race he was doing. So he might not be happy with his driving, but at least he'll be very happy that he's got a Ferrari front row lockout. But tyres on screen, as you can see, majority of the field going on the medium tyre. Extinct and Broseph, they going along on the hard compounded tyre, and then Aussie M8, he's going to be aggressive. He's going to go the soft tyres. Either maybe thinking a safety car, trying to make moves done, or maybe considering that he's at the back, hey, it may have to come in for a front wing. But let's not jinx anybody, because I'm pretty sure there's a couple of boys in here not racing tonight in Tier 2. Probably glad they're not in here, considering they know I'm commentating. So Blues is probably definitely one of them. So probably got away with that. But as we make our way around the final few corners to line up on the grid, who's your favourite coming into this one? MX looked fast in the wet. Oh, and Gordo having a bit of a spin into the wall.
I want to say it's probably a simple one to say, but I want to say that I have Aussie 2K Goat to win this. Our championship leader, he's been looking fast throughout this whole season. He looked very quick through the wet, so hopefully he can take that momentum and pace into the race and bring home that win for the Williams.
Yeah, very interesting. I reckon Gordo might get a sneaky second win.
I am going to jump on board with 2K Goat off the start here as well.
As we wait.
Mash, we both saw that crash out there, Mash.
Exactly. As we do have the 5 red lights on. We got 4, we got 5.
And it is lights out and away we go here.
Exactly.
There's a good jump over MX and Gordo here.
As we see the sweeping shot of turn 1. Can they make it? Oh, a few cars going side by side. We've got Carnage in the back. No one out at the moment, but can we all feed through turns 3 and 4? Aussie 2K
Nobody has spun yet either off the start. We are seeing T8 off the track here. and now he's back on.
Oh,
T8
Buster.
is lagging like crazy here.
No, Buster, he's been off as well. He's last on the grid. Hopefully he hasn't got damage, but not what he wanted with his championship rival up right up the top. T8, unfortunately, has left the session.
It looks as though Buster is unscathed with no damage here, just rounding out the back.
Exactly. Kai, I think, had a bit of a moment under the bridge. PRL Aussie got past him, but Kai trying to sneak his nose back up the inside. Couldn't quite do it. So we stay as is up front. MX has got a big gap. Unfortunately, it's not showing me the margin between him and Gordo.
It's just showing that there's 8 tenths to Gordo and Aussie 2K Goat, but nothing to show between MX and Gordo. But I would say that's probably a good 2.5 seconds, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Gordo will definitely want to try and get the best result as he can, but if Gordo boats up a little bit, this is MX's win for the taking, as there's a move down the inside between Gillard, Kaio, and then Extinct.
2.5 seconds, exactly right.
Exactly right.
2.5 seconds to Gordo there.
Yeah, as PRL Aussie loses the spot to Extinct, and Seb's right there. So we can get a nice cam wrangle. That was an AlphaTauri right on the wheel. Oh, who's lost it? Greedo. He's had a spin coming out of 2. So he's at the back of the pack now. Hopefully he hasn't touched the wall. He has got all M plates still on. So it was getting tight in that midfield.
An interesting start to this race so far. We've had nobody really... Had a few spins, no one really crashing out, losing any wings.
You say that, and Quiet Cake's now
gone. As I say that, and Quiet Cake is out.
And this is a VSC. So where he's lost it before, down to 1. So I'm wondering if he's maybe been
just
shoved into...
just after Sector 1 there.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if he's been knocked into the wall there, because that's a weird spot to go off, because the wall's further back.
He disappears before T8 comes around. T8 does come around, and he does disappear just before T8 gets there.
Oh, it's T8 really lagging on my screen, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, he's been lagging the whole race.
Alright, so VSC...
MX with an absolutely massive gap there to his teammate. But they have managed to hold on to the 1-2 off the start here.
Sorry, Mash, I had to point that out, but obviously you're very happy that you've got your guys 1 and 2 and MX brilliant start. As we still...
Yeah, it has left again there.
Yeah, it's still under VSC yet. Now we got the gap, 4.5 seconds nearly. So, big gap.
MX is just absolutely had a great start and just hasn't lost that pace, and he's just pulled an insane gap to his teammate here. It looks like it could be coming down under this VSC.
And we're back underway.
DRS is enabled here as well. I've only just got that notification.
Yeah, so Aussie mate, unfortunately, he's had to box probably for a new front wing and the hard compound of tyres. So he's in. So those softs only lasted 2 laps, and he did get damage. So super unfortunate for him, as we're flying over the top of the championship leader. You can probably play it a little bit safer at the moment, with Buster having that issue on the first lap, currently down in 15th. I know he wants to try and win this race, but MX is doing a lovely job out front. And
Matty AU, who's currently sitting 3rd in the championship, just 10 points behind Buster, is missing this race as well, so that's going to put a sting into his championship fight as well.
100%. And then 4th is Mercy, so he's doing a good job in P7. So McLaren in a good spot, P5 and P7. Aston Martin P4 and P18 in terms of the overall constructors standings, in terms of where those two teams are at the moment. As we got the field fairly close by. Gillard, I'd say, was about a second out, but he's just got back in, but then got back out of it. So Aussie mate, unfortunately, losing it again at the hairpin. And top 2 not really having to burn a lot of our ARS. We do have DRS activated, which is obviously only down the front straight, as Medi's got some alright speed in the Aston Martin, closing Aussie 2K Goat around the first sector. Fortunately, not really an overtaking spot around here.
There's not really many at all. There's probably like one or two. Definitely one down the home straight with the DRS, but other than that, there's not really many other overtaking opportunities. On top, narrow circuit that provides little to no overtaking opportunities at all.
Yeah, exactly right. You sort of need a mistake from the car in front to be allowed to be able to get a move done at some of these corners, or get a brilliant exit and burn a lot of your battery. That's sort of how it works. But Medi is in a good position if he can stay close through the chicane. Might have a chance, but obviously Aussie 2K will have the DRS because of Gordo about 6/10 in front. So we've got a little bit of a DRS train happening, but Medi's definitely close.
Yeah. I just did some calculations at the moment with how things stand with the Ferrari 1-2. That will see them in the T2 Constructors Championship. That will see them jump up to just about up in the P2, if not just a little bit behind the Aston boys.
Yeah, exactly right. As you can see, PRL Aussie did get the fastest lap, but he's now sort of caught the back of this train in P11. So his pace is going to slow down just a little bit, and Medi, as we saw briefly, think about a move at turn 1, but unfortunately he needs that straight about another couple hundred meters longer, and then he probably would have got the job done. And it's definitely a weird corner turns 1 and 2 here at Suzuka, being that it's a sweeping right-hander, that it's not a hard braking zone, so different lines, and yeah, can't quite get away with the same overtaking manoeuvres that you normally would at other tracks and other corners, so got to make your overtake pretty much nearly done, or at least completely side by side with the car on the inside. But yeah, Hassan's done a nice job. MX, we're probably not going to see much of him. Oh, yellow flag.
Who's that, Brian?
Brian. Oh, he's on the track. He's got to be careful, facing the wrong way. Manages to get everyone else.
Oh, he spun again. Oh no, he just spun himself back.
Nah, spun him the other way as Seb loses a spot to Marty B just before 130R. So he obviously made a mistake coming out of the corner. Might have been held up.
That overtake, Mercy has overtaken Gillard as well. He's now up in the P6, as he's now just sitting behind his teammate who's in P5.
Yeah, Gillard looking to try and get back at him, but couldn't quite get it done with DRS down the front straight. So Brian was in P7, P8, so yeah, Brian, unfortunately, he drops back to behind his teammate Agredo, so both Mercedes, unfortunately, having early spins. Doesn't look like any damage from either of them, but they've got a long way to go, and you can sort of see Marty sort of got a bit of a train towards the back, holding a lot of drivers up.
On board with Foster, who seems to be trying to make his way back up here, and he seems to be right on the back of this Marty B Seb train here. How quickly can he get both of these? The real question is, see how fast he can make this back up. Ryan to keep himself in this championship fight with his championship contender. Sitting in P3 at the moment, just sitting comfortably behind the Ferrari boys.
Yeah, exactly, this is what you want if you're a Williams TP with your Tier 2 championship on the line. Gillard looking to get back at Mercy. Gets it down the inside. That was easily done, but a lot of battery to do that. Does set a purple middle sector. Mercy tries to go back around the outside. Gillard closes the door.
But this will give Mercy the DRS now down the home straight, I believe.
He will, but both boys are burning.
I don't think he's got enough in with that McLaren to chase Gillard down. If he does not, he's going to have to sit behind Gillard for another lap unless Gillard can pull away from him here. And we do see Seb though get the job done down on Marty B. Is he now moved up to P11 here?
Yeah, so Seb gets that move back.
Yeah, Buster's right on the back of him now, back on Marty B as well. He'll be looking to get past as well.
Yeah, so Seb gets that move back done on Marty. But they've sort of lost touch a little bit with Aussie in 10th, who's obviously on the back of this train, as you can see on board with the Alfa Romeo driver. Just a bunch of cars in front, and it's sort of he's sort of just in a waiting pattern at the moment because everyone's got DRS in front of him, and he just can't quite do anything about it. As we do hit lap 7, halfway through to lap 8, and we should start seeing pit stops early, so it might be the case of who does an undercut, but considering that pretty much nearly all these drivers are going to the hard compounded tyre, we do know how hard it is to come out of the pits, as we did see in Tier 3, a moment where someone went off in with some cold tyres, so
I believe
unfortunately,
that person's name was Howard.
I was just thinking that. I think it was you. So,
Uh-oh.
but yeah, it's the undercut's worth it to get out of the train, but going onto the hard tyre, the overcut could be a viable option. But
Oh, Marty B has spun Seb around at the back. I
oh,
was
when
just on board
he's
with that.
oh,
I was
when
on
he
board with Buster as Marty B taps the back of Seb and Seb's around. That is very unfortunate.
so it was Marty B going for a lunge up the inside.
No, Marty B just braked a lot later than Seb and he just tapped the
Uh,
back of
oh,
Seb and that was
2K,
it.
2K.
2K, is he
He's
around? No, it looks
he's
like
had
he just lost a place to, he had a little moment, lost a place to Burke in the process, and now Mercy and Gillard are right up behind him now, but Mercy looks to be trying, as Mercy's still right there with Gillard, trying his hardest to fight that place back, but now Gillard will have all that slipstream and all the DRS from his teammates, so it could make it even harder for Mercy to make that move now.
so well. Thankfully for Aussie 2K, he's back in P5, but still on track. He's got a Williams bodyguard a little bit behind him, so Gillard know that 2K's in this championship fight. He won't do anything too stupid, so be interesting to see if they're in a party together or not, maybe communicating, but we'll see what pace Aussie has to get back up to Verk. Yeah, still within DRS range. But yeah, unfortunate with Seb now down in P16, so Marty with the late braking might cop himself a
Just
post-race
again,
penalty.
boy, Mercy breaks very late and almost goes into the back of Gillard there. But just as that MX situation pops up, just looking at the gap there, MX has a whopping 7 seconds to his teammate behind him. He has just absolutely ran away with this at this point in time. He's out there probably hoping for no safety car. We can hold this gap and pretty much just casually bring this home for a win, but personally, I believe there will be at least one safety car here. When it comes is the real question, though.
Exactly right, as Brian comes in for a set of hard compound tyres. So he has gone early. Might have had a bit of front wing damage, but I think that spin was away from the wall, so that might just be an early stop, get off those mediums, especially with the spin. Might have added a little bit of wear to him. But yeah, Gordo. Now he's got a little bit of a Aston Martin on his tail now. 7/10 was about 5 out of the hairpin. So Medi now the car behind Gordo. Interesting to see how quickly they can catch on, as we do have a bit of sunshine starting to come through the clouds now. So that will warm up the track just a little bit. Might help the hards in the second part of the stint.
Does look like Medi is gradually gaining on Gordo. Our newly married man just casually trying to make it on to the back of Gordo and try and get the job done. We'll see if he can make a move down this straight now. We depend on ERS. Gordo does have 77% to Medi's 30, so I think it might be a bit of a difficult one for him to get the job done down the straight here. As it looks like Gordo has just pulled away from him down the straight, even though Medi had that DRS open.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, obviously buried in the little break that we had. So obviously big congratulations to him, as we do see the other Mercedes of Gredo come in to fit the hard compound of tyres. So Merc going early, maybe a bit of clear air, getting out of the train a little bit. But yeah, Medi's good in the first sector, so he might be running a bit more front wing to help cope through the first sector. And then obviously just the same issue that he's just going to not be able to quite close the gap to Gordo in front, but still in a good spot, P3 at the moment. Verk's sort of the one that's dropped off. Medi's had speed. Verk can't quite stick with them at the moment, and then you've obviously got this big train of cars behind that goes down to PRL Aussie in P10. He's still stuck at the back of this can't do much.
How many's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 car DRS train there from P4 to 10.
Exactly, and one thing that will be interesting to note is Extinct is on the hard compounded tyres as well, so he's done a good job staying with the train. So he'll go longer than these guys. So, and then he'll chuck on the medium set of compound tyres. So if he can keep it on the track, he'll be looking good towards the end of this race. Just needs to stick with them. Not really any danger from the car behind. Buster comes in. So I think he was slowly catching up to that pack. He's going to go for an undercut. Try and get some clear air. Chuck on the hard compounded tyres.
To make that pit stop. Because back last year race I did, you're looking at the medium starters. We're looking about lap 12 to come in when your tyres are starting to die off. So this is probably the perfect time for Buster to come in if he wants to try and complete that undercut. So we'll see how that pays off when the rest of the grid start to pull into the pits.
Yeah, exactly right. He's got some clear air ahead. The only one will be Seb, but he'll be in the next lap or two. Obviously on the medium tyres after that spin.
He'll be looking to try and make some ground back up after he was right up there. He was ahead of Marty, ahead of Buster, actually gaining on PRL Aussie as well, and then Marty gave him that little touch, which just pretty much put him down to the back, and he's just trying to go hammer time now and reel that pack back in, hoping for a safety car, most likely to bring him back into that pack. Exactly. But might I say, 11 laps in, no penalties out at the moment, so got some nice clean driving here from these two boys.
Exactly right. As race leader comes in, MX. Figured he might have actually just extended his gap, considering that he had a 7.1 second lead. Figured he might have been able to extend. Oh, we've lost Extinct Body. I've given him the jinx. Where's he lost it?
Out again.
Oh, I was going to say he was looking good on the hard.
I think MX has made an absolute perfect call here to go into the pits.
Yeah, exactly right. Obviously, all the cars will go through, but Extinct, he's obviously had a bit of a moment on the hard compounded tyres. He spun it and he obviously hit the start of the pit wall. So Extinct Body, he's out of this race. We have our first safety car, lap 12. 15 laps to go, and we're going to see a whole bunch of cars come in to get these hard compounded tyres on. Top 5 yet to stop, but they all pass the pit lane. MX pretty much should be very comfortably ahead, so he'll have track position.
Broseph,
yeah, Broseff's the only other one that was on the hard, so he is staying out. He's going to hope that possibly a bit of a safety car. He doesn't feel like the mediums can go 15 laps, but in saying that, he can come in and box once again. Be tight for 15 laps, but he might decide to go on them now.
Well, there'll probably only be about 12, 13 laps once the safety car is in. So you can keep those, you comes in for the mediums, you keep them up to wear and don't wear them out too much under the safety car. You should be able to just make those mediums last the end, and maybe on about good 80% at the end.
Exactly right. This safety car will stay out for quite a while, being that the spread is quite massive. T8 still coming around the first sector, same as Aussie M8. So we'll be a few laps out as we do see.
Gordo, Medi, Gillard in. Oh my god! I just went on board with Gillard as they were coming in. Gillard's brake so late and almost ended up into the back of Verk, which could have been carnage.
Which still surprises me, considering that they're under a safety car, there's not a massive gain to speed in, like to be super aggressive on the pit lane line. You'd rather be a little bit, like half a second slower than the cop 5 second time penalty.
We see Broseph stay out as well, mind you. Broseph has stay out and he takes P2 on track here as MX comes up behind the safety car here. And Gordo still P3.
Yeah, exactly right. And MX will be absolutely loving this because he's got a 12-lap-old hard runner behind him that will hold up from everybody from third down. So MX, if he didn't skip away anyway by himself, he's definitely going to get a helping hand with that AlphaTauri.
And that pit stop from MX that lap before has really helped the Ferrari boys here because that's avoided them having to make that double stack under the safety car, which meant they have lost 0 positions under the safety car, both on fresh, hard compound tyres, which will make the end of the race now.
That's true, but in saying that, with the 7 second lead that MX had, was really going to get held up?
Yeah.
It would have been close. I think there would have been a bit of a delay, so Medi might have had a chance to get past him, but I think the way that these two have been working it out, MX and Gordo, as I said,
Yeah,
I think
plus all the cars were then coming in, so that probably would have held up MX a bit, having to wait for the cars to go past down the pit lane before he can come out with his massive gap he had.
exactly. I reckon the one that this has hurt the most is Buster coming in a couple of laps before that safety car was called.
Yeah.
He was the one that would not have served and got the free pit stop. So Buster, even though he's still P11, and he's sort of back with the pack now, he definitely lost time, even with the undercut that he might have had. So Buster still in the race, still scoring a couple of points, but unfortunately still behind. But in saying that, Aussie 2K goat, he's only a net P6 at the moment once Broseph pits. So he was looking good at the start, P3 after the opening lap, but obviously after that issue, hasn't been great. And actually, Gillard's gotten in front of him actually, which I didn't notice. Oh, Mercy's around.
Is he?
What has happened to Mercy? Lost it at the last chicane.
Did he lose it or did he get tapped is the big question here.
It'd be very interesting if he got tacked, because I would have figured he would have picked up a warning. Or the guy who hit him. So who was in front of him? I think Gillard was the one that was in front of Mercy, behind Mercy, I think.
Yeah, because I think Mercy was behind. It would have been.
I think it was Gillard.
It would have been Kyle or Gillard, I think, because it would have been.
No, because Mercy was in between Medi and Gillard, because I said Aussie 2K was in 7th net 6, so Mercy definitely dropped it from P5. Yeah. So might have been Gillard. But as I said,
I don't see how you can lose it for the chicane under a safety car.
Yeah, as I said, I think with the braking zone there, you wouldn't be right over to the left, so Mercy will not be happy about that.
Especially after his qualifying.
He was looking good, top 5. He said he was all right here in Tier 3 comms.
Trying to catch Gillard's car seat here, see if he has any little bit of any sign of contact. It doesn't look like any bit of wings missing. Because I believe we should see the safety car in at the end of this lap as well, which will see us take 13 laps of racing.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, Mercy didn't box, so he hasn't got damage, but it's definitely a weird place to spin, and that looked like contact the way that he had spun, so we'll have to wait till after the race. But unfortunately, that sends him right back down the field of P14. Buster moves up a spot, so he's in the top 10 now. And as you can see on the timing screen, you can see every single driver on the hard compounded tyres. We have one that is yet to do their mandatory pit stop, which is Broseph, so he'll go another few laps before he'll come in. He might try a hard stop.
We do have a message from TJ. He makes a comment saying 90% sure there was no contact after watching the replay. Probably just a lapse of concentration and went straight on. Gillard was a fair way behind him the whole time, so
yeah, well, that's true.
Potentially there was no contact, and he just has had that lapse of concentration.
Yeah. And probably a bit unfair for us to sort of automatically blame Gillard. Not that it will blaming him, but yeah, obviously interesting. And MX is doing a different strat that we've seen this afternoon. He's waited a little bit after the final corner, and actually that might have worked because Gordo is right behind the AlphaTauri. Will he think about the move down the inside? He's got his overlap that he needs.
He does.
Does that go around the outside?
He does make the move down the inside.
That was beautiful.
Back up into P2, which is going to be perfect for the Ferrari boys, as now they have Broseph on those hards to block everyone behind, but Medi's right on the back of Broseph now as well.
Yeah,
He'll be looking to try and get past him as quick as possible, and he does. Make a move down the outside here. Medi, has he got it done? Medi has got it done. Broseph has given into 2 positions there after a restart. Gillard now just behind Broseph. Can he get the job done as well?
Yeah, obviously the tyre grip, 14 lap old hard tyres. His grip's not going to be there as Kai nearly had a move up the inside of 2K.
Gillard also almost just went into the back of Broseph there, coming into the hairpin.
Yeah, and you can already see Broseph's lost 1.2 seconds.
Going for a move down the inside, but backs out again there.
Yeah,
Gillard is right all over the back of Broseph here. He's smelling that gearbox.
yeah, going to the
He
outside
wants to know
now.
what flavour that gearbox is smelling like.
Round 130 side by side. They each give each other enough room. Takes the inside, gets it done. Does his teammate nearly follow him? Not quite. 2K's got to worry about Kaya behind him. Yeah, but Broseph really struggling on those hard compounder tyres. So top four are clear. Gordo actually staying with MX at the moment. Gap 7/10.
And
And Benny's a
they've
little bit
got
further behind. Greedo
just over
further
one
down.
second. Yeah.
Greedo up into the top 10, busted into P9.
Kaya's all over the back of 2K. 2K all over the back of Broseph. If Kaya gets any more push and shovey, oh yes, as
Yeah,
those commentators curse, I have called it. I
we're
was
on
about to say
board.
if Kaya gets any more messy, there's going to be a situation as he goes around.
You knew what Kaya was trying to do there, but
Yeah,
you just knew as soon as he got on that curb, you could just sense that car starting to go to the right. That's just those curves that do that to you. So unfortunately, Kyo on his off a little bit at the moment, but that's the dangers of these curbs at Suzuka.
Japan.
Yeah, Suzuka. I was thinking Singapore Suzuka at Suzuka, and that's what happened. So Kyo, don't feel like he's going to get 2 podiums today because he's right down the field, unfortunately, and I'd say that gives Aussie
Oh, we have a
2K
yellow
go. Oh,
flag. Who's that?
Brian.
There's Brian again.
That's the second
What's
time he
happened there?
spun. That's the second time he spun at 13, at 4 and
Mm-hmm.
14. So not liking those couple of corners. Seb and Marty B continuing their fight, and that's a big move from Mercy. So Mercy gets the move past the AlphaTauri. Does he think about the move on Seb? Not close enough. And
The
Marty,
RS is enabled now.
yeah, and Marty having to defend. So I thought Marty and Seb together again. Oh, Marty's coming in, so he might have damage. Didn't look like it. Like he had all his front wing bits, but he's coming in, so he might chuck on a set of medium tyres to go to the end. Back at
Or
the
is he
front.
feeling I wouldn't, but he may feel, yeah, he chucked on the music, so he may feel confident in a set of softs, but I wouldn't around here.
So he must have had slight wing damage as we switch back to...
But we do see Garrido and Aussie, IRL Aussie, they look like they could be swapping places. Oh no, looks like Buster. Buster's made up a place, not IRL Aussie, it is Buster that's got past Garrido there.
And back on board with Aussie 2K Goat. Obviously still stuck behind the AlphaTauri. Sort of Gillard hasn't gotten away. Or Gillard, I think, had a bit of a moment out of the hairpin. Yeah, he did, because he just dropped 6/10 of a second.
A fair bit of time there.
So
But
that will
still
help.
the Ferrari boys 1-2 with coming into 10 laps to go here. Can Medi split those Ferrari boys, or will these two boys just bring it home?
I think they need to. I don't think they'll fight each other between themselves. I think MX has been far too strong. And I think he's just going to be coasting for what he needs to do. What about Aussie? Can he get past Broseph? Not quite. When does Broseph come in? 16 lap old hard tyres. As MX does set the fastest lap of the race on a 32.8. So that's the pace he's found. So he's liking both sets of
Looking at
compound
some position
tyres.
changes. Highest position change is Broseph to get 3 at the pit on up 11. Other than that, you're looking at your top runners who have mostly only gained 1 or 2 places or lost places. And your highest is Aussie Mate, who's gone up 6 places. There's not many position changes going around here in Tier 2. We'll see if that can change in these last 9.5 laps.
Yeah, and you saw the stops quickly on screen. Brian's in for a set of soft tyres. T8's in for a set of mediums. So Brian trying to go 9 laps to the end. Obviously, he's not been his day. And Gillard picks up a 3-second
Picks
time
up a
penalty.
3-second time penalty. And it's very unfortunate for the Williams driver as he is having a very good race, and that will be our first time penalty for the race.
Which is very interesting because we didn't actually see a 3-second time penalty given in Tier 3. So it is quite hard to get time penalties here at Japan, mainly because the curbs try and kill you anyway, so you'd rather not get off them or ride them too hard. But obviously he's just gone wide, just one too many times. And unfortunately he's copped 3 seconds. So we'll see how far up the field he can get. But unfortunately I think that probably takes out any chance for a podium. But with Aussie 2K still stuck behind the AlphaTauri. Does he send a late move? He doesn't. Doesn't need to. He's current championship leader. He knows the Aftaria will be in, and he is in this lap.
Yeah.
So Broseph in from
Gordo goes
P5.
fastest now. We have
Oh,
a
yellow
yellow flag here.
flag.
Who's that?
That's a collision at the back. That's a weird line by Aussie, mate. So he's definitely had an off at some point. I don't know if he had contact with anybody else, but that's dropped him down a couple of spots. Brosef's going to come out. Unfortunately, he's going to come back out way down the field in P14 and a long way back. So might have rather
Very
tried to
interesting to see
stretch.
Joseph in for the mediums though. I would have expected him to come back out on those softs with only about 8 laps to go. 8, 9, about 8.5 laps to go here.
Yeah, that's what you would have thought. You would have thought he'd go a little bit, couple of laps long, go to the soft tyres, or box under that safety car and try and stretch the mediums. I think it's sort of no man's land for him a little bit, and he's sort of by himself. He'll be able to catch the train, but I don't know if he can do much with it. And even under a safety car, he might be able to stay out, but the guys will sort of lose the delta as we watch Buster. Currently 3/10 behind Verk. There's only 2 spots. Or yellow flag. That's Brian.
Looks like Brian at the back again.
That's his third spin, so he's definitely not liking this track. It's not the tyres, I think it's the track. And that's yeses this time around, trying to maybe push for a fastest lap, but...
We just go to the front 3, they are all within a second of each other. It looks like you could be on for a 3-way fight for the win here, but Auto and MX just seem to have some sort of rapid pace down this the straight. They are just pulling a good 2/10-ish just down that home straight. It's incredible. Their wings they must be running pretty low wings around here.
And that's probably an impressive thing too, because if they were running lower wings and say Medi, they did a pretty awesome job considering that they had to qualify on that front row in intermediate conditions, which you'd obviously want a lot more downforce on your car. So to be able to do that and still run lower downforce, that's an awesome job from both Ferrari boys as Marty sets the fastest lap on his brand new medium tyres. Currently in 15th. He needs to move up a few spots to be able to get that fastest lap point counted, because it is only for the top 10. 4th fastest lap, yellow flag. And I'll just say that he does a fastest lap and then he has a spin at turn on the exit of 2. So
Marty is around again, yeah.
But they sort themselves out. Gordo about 8/10 behind his teammate. Medi just lost DRS for a quick second. He's using a bit of ARS to sort of close back in. They're sort of just sticking where they are. Can't really do anything else as Buster is right on the back of Verk. Will he think about a move at the chicane? Carried some nice speed through 130R. Does he think a move down the inside? He doesn't quite. Tries to get a nice exit through here, but Verk will have DRS from Aussie. Buster did get a better exit. He's going to burn all his battery, but Verk's on the button as well. Verk goes defensive.
Battery left as well, as they both pulled a bit of a gap to Aussie there. Buster riding that curb a little bit there, lucky to take out there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do what his teammate did a few laps ago. Kai has recovered into P11. But yeah, Buster, yellow flag.
Around R again.
So unfortunately, he doesn't like the curbs up there at turns 13 and 14, so that's another spin. Just get worried if there's I thought it might have been one of the leaders, but they're still going as is. Gillard's sort of dropped back a little bit, but he's nearly got that 3 seconds in front of his teammate. So not sure if team orders will sort of come into play with 7 laps to go in terms of whether Gillard just sort of lets Aussie 2K just sit in that 3 second zone to move him up a spot. Burke sort of dropped out of DRS as well, so this might be Buster's chance as Brian speeds into pit lane. Will we see a pit and quit, or will he just come out on another fresh set of softs and try and go for another fastest lap? I think we might see him do that. He's got to be quick though, because he's about to get lapped, and I don't think he'd want to try and be in any involvement in the lead. Buster's about 6/10. Greedo, he's caught this back of this train now.
He's not going to be able to get up without having to get held up with this. That is unfortunate for Brian as he comes out of the pits, probably looking to do a fastest lap and just caught up.
Yeah,
in
Brian doing the right thing, getting off the track and letting all the guys past.
Gotta be careful doing that. He could potentially.
He's got to be careful. Medi goes past.
And you look to drive off now.
Then again, to be fair, if he cops a 10-second time penalty for doing that, I don't think it really matters considering that he's now a lap down.
Yeah.
But
I was looking at getting to score with that also.
Yeah, that's true too. Betty's actually closed right up, half a second to Gordo. Gordo doesn't have DRS from his teammate.
It's going to be a big fight and battle to the line here, these two, I think. As we into about 5 laps here, I think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
5 laps to go once they cross the line at the end of this lap.
Yeah, exactly right. And we sort of wait for these tyres just to start to degrade just a little bit more. But they should still be right. We did see guys in Tier 3 go from about a pit stop in lap 7 and take the tyres all the way. They might have been about 80%, for example, Verks, but they're not hitting that distance today, so they should be all making it to the end. So it's just a matter of how they look after their tyres. Medi, as you can sort of see, just drops out of that 1 second before the front straight, and he didn't get DRS this time round. So that helps. Gordo is definitely quick through the last part of the lap, and he closes right back up to his teammate. So Gordo just doesn't quite have the grip or the speed through the first sector, but can definitely hang on for the second half of the lap.
He's really... Seems like the two Ferrari boys are just a tad quicker than Medi through Sector 1, as you see Gordo pull to within a second of MX through Sector 1, but he pulled 1 to 1.3 away from Medi.
As we look at Gordo and IRL Aussie, they were very close together, but they stay in the same position. Seb's recovered into P10, currently a couple of seconds down. So a good recovery job from him if he can move up another couple of spots. Aussie 2K still holding the P5 position. Burke sort of lost the second gap and hasn't been able to close it, but then also Buster hasn't been able to make a move on Burke. He's been behind the McLaren for so many laps now, just can't quite get the job done. As we are about to cross the line to start our 24th lap, so we'll have 4 laps to go.
Yeah.
Jump up to Gordo, looking from the front rearwards. We'll quickly change to the front because it was about 3.5 tenths. So he's closing up. So
Medi has fallen at 2.2 seconds behind Gordo now, so I don't know if he's had a moment there or what's happened, but we've got the two Ferraris now. Within 5 tenths of each other, so could we see team orders come into play for Gordo? See MX just hold it out, as you do see Brian take that fastest lap time there.
I think Gordo, honestly, I think Gordo's trying to push, and MX is sort of having to push as well, which is why they've sort of dropped Medi in the process, because these two are having to push. I think Gordo possibly wants his chance of a win. Brian has retired. Oh, this might be a safety car. It is. As if
interesting.
Yeah, as if not to throw any more spice into the mix. This is going to cause a safety car.
And this right here has just absolutely screwed Gillard with that 3 second. The
100%.
only driver on the grid with a penalty. He's got to pull 3 seconds quickly.
Exactly right.
On some of those drivers off the restarters will probably only restart with about
2 laps.
2 racing laps.
So what will happen here, MX will cross the line. There'll be 1 lap under the safety car. So, do these guys pit? You assume not. There is no point to give up track position.
I'd keep him out.
You can cover with hard tyres. MX comes in.
MX is in. What an interesting call there, because he probably...
I don't know if that was the right decision. Not a lot of guys will follow him in. Has MX just thrown away this victory? As everybody else stays out, Aussie stays out, Verk stays out, Buster stays out. Greedo does come in. Where is MX going to fall out? Is he going to get jumped by Seb? I think he will. Seb beats him. He
Yep,
does.
Seb, he'll jump out in P8 here.
MX.
So he could have just completely thrown away this win there, having to pull 7 places, which will be 2 laps to do it. I
It will,
don't personally think it's possible. I've seen the paces given, but still with the pace he's taken tonight, I don't really believe that it is possible for him to even come close to taking his victory back now. So I think there could be a situation of MX has just ruined a 1-2 for Ferrari.
so we'll have to wait and see with MX. He'll have a much, much better tyre advantage, but can he make up the 7 spots that he just lost? He's going to have to show that half a second gap that he nearly had in qualifying. He's going to have to make it up in 2 laps, because there will be no DRS, even though it is down the front straight. There'll be no DRS. He's got 2 laps. He's going to be absolutely flying through the first sector. Oh, it's a tough call, I reckon, to stay out. And as you see with the top 7 on the hard compounder tyres, they preferred track position over new tyres. So MX has got a lot of work to do, and he's definitely going to be the one that we're following in this last 2 laps. Because, yeah, I think both you and me agree. I think if you're P4, maybe risk it, but if you're leading the race with your teammate behind you, I think you got to stick it out. So we'll see how we go. And as we do, the safety car is in this lap. Not all the field will catch up. I think the McLaren of Mercy may just catch this field, but you can see the guys towards the back on the soft tyres. MX is going to be the one to watch.
Really going to give MX here is those on very complete fresh softs, fighting over 10, like 13, 14 lap old hard. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not MX can pull this win back or not.
Exactly right. Gordo's gone. He's gone from the lead. Starting 2 laps to go.
He's going to have to. MX is going to have to pull a lot of positions off just this first lap if he wants any chance of even just getting a podium right now. And he can't even get past Seb. Seb's just being a defensive king, and he's almost gone to the back of Seb.
Oh, and he's turned him.
Tapped Seb. He's turned Seb,
that
and then
was the risk as well.
To turn Seb today. Seb is gonna be absolutely gutted, and it looks like Aussie's gone into Seb.
Yeah, Aussie's hit him.
Picked up a 5-second penalty for it. Seb's going to be absolutely
fuming. Yeah, he was on the hard tyres. He was going to be slow to the guys behind him on the soft compounded tyres, but that's the risk. You put yourself in traffic and you find yourself with contact. So MX's next target is Buster in P6.
Even with MX, even if he does pull this win or not back, he could pull this win, but he will lose it because I think that will go straight to the stewards and he will pick up a time penalty off that, as we both just witnessed him.
Yeah, that's super unfortunate. And the other thing to also think about is all these guys have got full batteries, so they can burn as much as they like down the straights. As Buster is trying to cover MX, will he think about the send down the inside? He doesn't. Buster goes a little bit deep trying to defend. That will hurt his exit coming around the chicane and the final corner. So MX, I think, will have the move done. Buster just giving him enough room. As they still go side by side, who's got the top straight line speed? MX has already burnt.
I think it's definitely MX there.
Yeah, MX has nearly burnt 70% of his batteries. It goes around the outside, but goes too wide.
He's almost into Buster as well, I think. Yeah, Buster holds him off. That's incredible.
As we'll go on board, the last thing Buster wants is to be turned around. MX has got to be careful. You can just see how much more grip he has, but he's got nowhere to go.
MX is getting very impatient here, trying to get past these drivers as he's trying to make his way back up the field. He has definitely made the wrong decision going into the pits here.
Yeah,
and it is now showing in his impatience that he just wants to get around these drivers. He's almost tapped the back of Buster as well. This is getting to be brutal as Buster tries to fight him back, but MX just gets around him there.
And this is hurting Buster with the soft tyre runners behind him, so he's going to lose another spot to Greedo behind. Does he hold on to it? The last thing Buster needs is a DNF. He's going to lose points to his championship rival. And there's
and Greedo's around.
Oh, that's going to be a tough one. Stewards might have to have a look at that, but I'll quickly switch back to the front.
I think personally there was a racing incident there between them, as I was on board with that. That was definitely, I think, a racing incident. They were just going wheel to wheel, and it was just a bit wrong.
Definitely be interesting. Situation. But Gordo, he made the right decision. He's coming around the final corner now. Gordo will be your race winner. around Japan. Brilliant job from Gordo. Medi comes out P2. Gillard was P3 but drops down with the 3 second time penalty. Aussie 2K Goat finishes on the podium and increases his championship lead over Buster. Burke finishes P4. MX, oh, it was the wrong choice. He crosses the line P5 but may have a steward's inquiry about that touch with Seb. And with the
Might
field...
I point out that you did call it from the start? You did say that you thought Gordo was going to go back to back, and
That's
that he
right, I
has
did.
done. It's
I did.
incredible.
Gordo looked good. I figured it'd be the two Ferraris, but my pick was Gordo, and he's delivered the chocolates.
He
Made the
has
right call,
indeed.
stayed out, and he won by 1.2 seconds, so he had the pace over Medi.
Yeah.
What could it
But
have been for
we do
MX?
see that every driver that finished has scored at least 1 point here, so that's a bonus for each driver that has come across the line here today. We're just waiting for Seb as he comes around the last
Yeah,
corner
exactly
here.
right. Seb,
And
unfortunately, Seb unfortunately been spun twice. I don't know, not sure about the first incident, but that second incident definitely wasn't his fault. Just the tap from the rear. He was running in the top 10. Brosev does pick up the games driver of the day. It's going to be
he's
interesting
going to
to...
book it.
Yeah, I think Brosev went the different strategy. That safety car definitely helped him in the end to close up.
Yeah.
As I accidentally skipped the podium. Sorry about that, Gordo. But Gordo, results on screen. Gordo is your race winner from Medi. Aussie 2K with that third place. Verk with the win in Tier 3. Nearly gets a podium. Finishes P4. He'll be happy about his drive MX. What could have been P5. Gillard with the penalty dropped him out of the podium. Only one to pick up a 3 second time penalty except for Seb at the end. Buster, after the spin at turn 1, P7. I don't know if he'll be 100% happy with that, but he finishes in the points but loses some more ground. So that gap will be
I
close
must,
to 40 points, I reckon.
I
Kai,
must say that just looking at this, Aussie mate did pull P19 to P10, so he did pull 10 positions to 9 positions. Joseph pulled 7, I think, if my maths
yeah,
right, 7
yeah,
or 8.
yeah. Aussie mate did a good job, up 9 positions. It's going to be tough in terms of a driver of the day to pick, but yeah, Kai, Broseph, Aussie rounds out the top 10. Greedo, Mercy, T8, Marty B, and Seb round out your points finishes, and then the 4 retirements. PRL Aussie, I think he just got tangled up with Seb's car just being spun on the track. Nothing he could really do. Brian, unfortunately, spinning in the first sector, bringing out that late safety car. Extinct Body, with the commentator's curse, piped him up with the hard tyres, and then 30 seconds later he crashes into the pit wall, and Quiet Cake have an issue early on. So we did have 4 DNFs, but I think that was a bit of excitement towards the last 2 laps, but I think Gordo, if it wasn't going to be the win, he was guaranteed, I reckon, that second place. So I think he gets a bit of a bonus. But yeah, fantastic race from Gordo. Medi and Aussie 2K, he kept out of trouble and got the rewards at the end when other guys had issues, and found himself on the podium once again.
100% rare.
As we'll scroll down, oh, got your Ducat. Scroll down. Couple of drivers getting pens. But yeah,
Just the
Gillard.
two it was, yeah. Just
Yeah,
the two.
Gillard.
Gillard instead.
That hurts. He picked it up. He probably didn't think the podium was actually on with 4 laps to go. Probably a bit too far off Medi in P3, but yeah, he realised now that that podium could have been on with that penalty, but that's just tough things in league racing. You sort of get that, but he did I think nearly a faultless drive anyway. I think with the pace that he had, running pretty much in the top 5 all race. So yeah, he'd be happy with his race. Didn't quite have the speed of the top guys. So as we just wait now for our drivers to pop in, have a bit of a
You
chat.
get Gordo in, so I don't think 2K. I don't think Aussie ever joined, so we're probably just waiting on our P2 driver of Medi, and that's about it.
No worries, as you sort of wait for that. We might actually, well, while we're waiting for that, we might talk to our race winner for Tier 2, Gordo. Normally I'm chatting to you on a Saturday Arvo, but Saturday night Tier 2, you find yourself a race winner, and I don't know about you, I don't know if you feel lucked into that, but you definitely made the right call at the end, staying out with that late safety car. How are you feeling after that one?
Far out, I'm like shaking. I can't type in the Discord. I'm like far out. I'm so shocked after that. Um, yeah, it's a shame Amex made the mistake there at the end. I was actually on AI um for like the first, like pretty much up until the safety car was about to go in. So I didn't actually realize until we're about to restart, and I just realized that the safety car was right in front of me. I was like, what? But yeah, yeah, it was great quality from us. Obviously, got the 1-2. Um, yeah, I'm just shocked.
Yeah, it looked like you two definitely had good pace throughout the entire race, and then even towards the end, before we had that late safety car, you were sort of closing in on MX. I don't know if there would have been a realistic attempt of a move, being that obviously you were 1-2 at that time. But your pace was definitely good, especially your second stint on the hards, and you were able to keep Medi pretty much at bay. He had a couple of chances, but not quite. But yeah, you two, the Ferraris definitely look strong, and you were strong in both the wet and dry conditions.
Yeah, I was never gonna go for an overtake there because obviously I'm not in T2, but yeah, he got me by like 8 seconds or 9 seconds by the end of the first stint, and then I think yeah, I just had a little bit more pace. In on the hards, I feel like I could have gone for the move, but yeah, I was never going to. I knew from the start of the race that I wasn't gonna if it ended up that situation.
Well, obviously, the win tonight, Austria sprint round. Whether you do 2 and 3, how you feeling about next week?
Not a track that I hate, not a track that I love. We'll see how we go. Sprint race always makes it interesting, so should be good.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the victory. It was pretty much a faultless drive from you tonight, and we'll see you next week at Austria.
Cheers. Thanks.
Congrats, mate.
All right, Powers, do you want to have a chat with our current championship leader and probably a man that's probably a little bit surprised that he actually ended up on the podium?
Yeah. No, so yeah, Aussie mate, talk us through your race. How do you think it went for you overall? You had a good quality and then the race didn't start off too well, but end up on the podium.
Yeah, nah, bit happy with that. I wasn't expecting too much. I'm a bit tired and a bit sore and all that from footy today, so I'm a bit fucked up a little bit. Um, but yeah, no, it was in the end to get on a podium. I'm pretty happy with it. And it meant my teammate with his teammate with his penalty dropping down a few positions, which is not ideal overall for constructors wise. But he had a good race as well. So yeah, a bit unlucky there.
So you being taking over that Williams TP role, saw Wayne take a win last night in Tier 4. Are you feeling confident you can try and make a push back in this overall constructors as a whole team?
Yeah, obviously the ones up the front are fair way ahead of us now, but as long as we keep pushing up, we're doing a lot better. The boys, I think they're a lot more happier and all that at the moment. They're going well. A lot more confidence in as well in each other, so it's a good thing. And yeah, the results are getting better and better for us.
Well, no, yes, well, no, either way, it was a good race from you tonight, mate. Congrats on the P3. Have you got anything to add there, Scotty?
Nah, pretty much. Obviously, kept it clean. Obviously, had that little moment. Probably the first third of the race that dropped you a couple of spots. Was it just sort of just running wide, maybe clipping one of those curbs?
I think it wasn't going wide. It was more cutting it I went it like I cut in a little bit more than what I should have. And yeah, I'd like to see some of their point of views from behind because I don't know how I saved it. To be honest, I thought I was going into a wall. But yeah, somehow saved it and only lost 2 positions from it. So I was happy about that. definitely didn't want to go into the war at all.
Yeah, exactly. But again, obviously you managed to save it and some more good points over Buster in this championship. That will put your lead up to around about 40 points now, 40, 42 points. So obviously sitting comfortable at the top. So how are you feeling coming into the final 7 rounds? Feeling comfortable to hold it from Buster? Obviously Buster, not the perfect race from him, got caught up early on. Sort of how's you feeling coming into especially Austria next week with the sprint round, more points on offer?
Yeah, Austria's it's a good track. I don't mind it too much at all. So being a sprint round, I need to make most of it and get as much points as I possibly can. But yeah, hopefully I can. And yeah, if I just need to stay in front of Buster in them races, it's been a pretty good battle so far for the year for us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, congratulations on your P3, and we'll see you next time out in Austria.
Thanks, mate.
All right, so we'll just try and quickly get Medi
Yeah,
in.
just need to get him an invite. I don't have him as a friend, so if there is anyone in the party at the moment, can send
There
him
we
an
go.
invite.
Should get him in. So we'll have a chat to a second place getter. But yeah, that was a brilliant result from the top 3, as we do have Medi in the party chat now. Medi P2, brilliant result from you. Made the right call staying out, and not quite the pace to get Gordo, but second step on the podium. Yeah, must be fairly happy with that.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I'm baffled MX fitted. That's one of the worst decisions I've seen for a long time. But no, I think realistically, I reckon I was quicker than Gordo, but I just couldn't get. I think MX kept sort of towing him with DRS, and I just couldn't get him. So that was a bit of a shame, but I was pretty happy to settle for a podium in third, and then gifted the second anyway.
Yeah, we sort of saw that back and forth. The gaps would go, and then we did see a couple of times where we thought you were close enough for possibly a move, but we know around Suzuka very hard, and it looked like those Ferraris had a bit of a toe down the or a bit of top speed down those straights, which obviously makes it hard to try and get a pass. But I don't know if there's much more we can sort of say with your result. As I said, you kept it clean, and you sort of made the right decision at the end. So I'm assuming you're running maybe possibly a little bit more downforce on yours.
Yeah, I was no secrets. I was running 25, 22, so I wasn't too bad, to be honest. A fair bit of speed out of the straight, so I wasn't worried about anyone behind me, which is a good thing to have in a race, I suppose. But just I sort of got stuck in no man's land for a long time there, and kept getting sort of stuck behind blockers, I think, from Aussie and both Broseph. But it is what it is. We'll still take the second.
Yeah, exactly right. And obviously with how tight it is up the front, with McLaren and Aston in the overall, some more good points heading your way. I don't know exactly if I think we might have had a few swaps between McLaren and Aston. Coming into the final few rounds, obviously working hard to try and obviously get that overall constructors.
Yeah, I think we were a point ahead after the Tier 4 race, and I think we went down again up to Tier 3. We're probably pretty much level now, I think, coming into Tier 1. So, yeah, look, I'm pretty confident we'll do it. I think we're definitely the quicker overall team. It's just whether we can keep it consistent or not.
Yeah, exactly right, and keep it out of trouble, which is what you did tonight. So congratulations on P2, and we'll see you next week in Austria.
Sounds good. Quick shout out to my chief engineer Dale Mulligan, though, mate. He was king tonight for me. So
lovely stuff. Well, congrats again.
Cheers, boys.
Congrats on the wedding as well, mate. Just while we're here.
Congrats on the wedding as well, of course.
Boo! No, it's about racing.
Exactly. Right.
No, cheers, boys. Appreciate it.
Cheers. All right, Powers. That ends Tier 2. Yeah, what a race. Yeah, definitely strategy got involved at the end there, but yeah, definitely those Gordo up the front with the MX making that mistake. I think that race was all his, but some clean racing we did see. Obviously, a couple of mistakes from a few drivers, but overall, I think it was good. As we know, Suzuka's not the best of overtaken spots, but I think we got a good race, all considered anyway.
100%. The real question is here, you are in the car tomorrow night for Tier 1. How are you feeling around Japan?
Yeah, it's one of those tracks. I think for me, I'm on the... I like driving it as a track. I don't have pace, so as much pace, but me and Roscoe in the Alpha, we've done good amount of points. We're both in the 10 in the championship, so it'd be good to keep those, keep the good form keeping up, and there is a chance in rain in our race briefing, so for a bit of rain towards the end of our race. So might get a little bit spicy, but if we can keep it clean, should get a good couple of top 10. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, 100%. Overall, it's a very good race to watch tonight in Tier 2. Gordo coming out with a win, MX making probably the worst call I've ever seen in league racing history. He had the win all in the bag with 2 to go. But overall, it was a very exciting, fun field race.
Yeah, exactly right. He'll be happy with the first 24 laps of his race. Maybe not so much with the last 3, but fair play on his race anyway. Before that, the Ferraris were definitely the best car on that track tonight. But thanks for having us for Tier 2. As we were saying earlier, Tier 1 tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You'll see the quickest guys in the league take part in this 5.8 kilometre circuit. It's going to be definitely one to watch, and we've seen some good action over the past 3 tiers, so looking forward to some good action with myself on track tomorrow night. So from Scotty, myself,
Thanks,
Powers, thanks for joining us. Thanks for having me in Tier 2, and hopefully Gob can be back next week. But until then, we'll catch you next time for Tier 2 actions around the track of Austria. So until then, bye for now.
See you, boys.